Have you ever considered that there are individuals earning vast sums in places where most of us wouldn't even survive for a week? While you sit comfortably watching this video, there are workers facing freezing temperatures in Antarctica, operating oil rigs in the middle of the ocean, or risking their lives in underground mines miles deep. And what's even more fascinating, these jobs come with salaries that would leave any office executive in shock. I'm talking about figures that can exceed $200,000 a year, and sometimes even more. But here's the truth no one tells you. This money doesn't come easily. Each dollar earned in these roles represents a real sacrifice, a calculated risk, and a bravery that few possess. Today, I'll introduce you to 11 jobs that combine extreme danger, total isolation, and impressive pay. I assure you that after learning about these professions, you'll never complain about your daily commute to work again. Because believe me, some of these workers spend weeks without seeing sunlight, others toil in temperatures that can be lethal in minutes, and there are those who literally risk their lives every single day. But before we dive in, let me ask you a sincere question. Would you have the courage to swap the comfort of your current life for a high salary, knowing that it means living under extreme conditions? Think carefully about that answer, because throughout this video, you'll uncover the true cost these individuals pay for the money they earn. The reality is that these jobs exist because someone has to do them. They are essential roles in our modern society, but they require a special kind of person. And the market recognizes this. That's why companies offer extraordinary amounts to attract professionals willing to face the unimaginable. So get ready, because you're about to discover a world of opportunities you probably never imagined existed. And who knows, maybe one of these jobs is exactly what you've been searching for, without even realizing it. Let's start with number 11, and I guarantee you'll be impressed. Number 11. Oil rig worker in Alaska. Picture waking up every day surrounded by freezing ocean waters, where temperatures can plummet to minus 40 degrees Celsius. Now imagine you're working on a metal structure dozens of meters above those icy waters, operating heavy machinery that, if something goes wrong, could trigger devastating explosions. This is the reality for oil rig workers in Alaska. And do you know how much they earn to face this? Between $65,000 and $110,000 a year, with the potential to reach $150,000 for more specialized positions. But the money is only part of the story. These professionals work shifts lasting from 2 to 4 consecutive weeks, toiling 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. No weekends, no holidays, just relentless work in one of the planet's most hostile environments. And don't think it's just the cold that makes this job dangerous. These rigs extract oil from underground reservoirs under extreme pressures and temperatures. A single mistake can lead to toxic leaks, fires, or even explosions that could obliterate the entire rig in minutes. But here's what makes these professionals unique. They cultivate a resilience that few possess. They learn to work as a team in a way that their lives literally depend on it. Because up there on that isolated rig, there's no room for egos or conflicts. It's work together or perish together. And after those intense weeks of work, they return home with paid time off for several weeks. Some use this time to travel, others to spend with family, and many simply to recover physically and mentally from extreme exhaustion. The reality is that this type of work isn't for everyone. It requires a strong stomach, impressive physical endurance, and a mental capacity to handle isolation and constant pressure. But for those who can manage it, the financial reward is just the beginning. Many say the experience completely transforms who you are as a person. Number 10, communication tower technician. Now, if you have a fear of heights, you might want to skip this one. Communication tower technicians are literally the individuals who climb those gigantic towers you see from afar and think, who on earth goes up there? The answer is professionals earning between $50,000 and $80,000 a year, potentially reaching $100,000 or more with experience and specializations. These towers can stand 300, 400, or even 500 meters tall. These technicians ascend to the top, hauling heavy equipment to install, maintain, or repair antennas and telecommunications gear. Many of these towers are located in extremely remote areas of the United States, far from any city or immediate medical assistance. Let me give you a real perspective on the danger. According to industry statistics, being a communication tower technician is one of the most hazardous jobs in America. The mortality rate is 10 times higher than that of construction workers. 10 times. Because when you're 500 meters up, secured only by a harness and a few safety cables, there's no room for error. A single moment of distraction, faulty equipment, or an unexpected gust of wind could mean the difference between returning home or becoming a statistic. And the worst part? Many of these towers are in isolated mountainous regions, where the weather can change drastically in minutes. A sunny day can turn into a storm with winds of 80 kilometers per hour, and you're up there, clinging to metal, trying to descend safely. But here's what fascinates about this job. These professionals speak of a sense of freedom and fulfillment that few careers offer. When you're at the top of a tower, above the clouds, you gain a perspective of the world that is literally unique. Completing a job in those conditions brings an unmatched sense of pride. Moreover, these technicians are constantly on the move. One day they might be in the Nevada desert, the next week in the Colorado mountains, then in the remote forests of Oregon. For those who love adventure and variety, it's a job that never becomes monotonous. And, hey, before we continue, I need to ask you something. If you're finding this content interesting, subscribe now to the Salary Uncovered channel. Hit that red subscription button because every week I bring videos showcasing salaries, professions, and opportunities you won't find anywhere else. And turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Oh, and share this video with that friend who's always complaining about their job because after seeing this, they might rethink a few things. Deal? Now let's keep going. Number 9. Gold miner in Alaska. The gold rush never really ended. Did you know? It just became more technological, more dangerous, and much more profitable for those willing to face brutal conditions. Modern gold miners in Alaska can earn between $70,000 and $130,000 a year. And some, especially those working in smaller operations and receiving a percentage of the production, can make much more than that. But let's discuss the working conditions. We're talking about laboring in areas where, during winter, you might only experience a few hours of sunlight each day, where temperatures dropping below 30 degrees are seen as mild, where brown bears and moose aren't just zoo animals, but actual neighbors that could pose a threat. These miners handle heavy machinery on unstable ground, work in tunnels that might collapse, and regularly deal with explosives. They spend weeks, sometimes months, in remote mining camps, residing in basic cabins, far from family, friends, and any comforts of modern society. And it's not just physical strength that's required. Understanding geology is crucial. Knowing how to operate complex equipment is essential. Safety knowledge regarding explosives is a must. And the mental capacity to make quick decisions that could save your life or that of your crew is imperative. Yet, here's what makes this job special: the chance to discover something extraordinary. Unlike other jobs where time is traded predictably for money, in gold mining, there's always that possibility of striking a rich vein, uncovering a massive nugget, something that could completely transform your financial situation. It's this element of chance, paired with genuine adventure, that attracts a certain type of individual. These are people who can't envision themselves sitting at a desk, typing away on spreadsheets. They prefer real risks, physical labor, and the slim chance of making a discovery that could alter their lives. Many of these miners develop a profound love for the Alaskan wilderness. Despite all the hardships, they speak of the breathtaking beauty of the northern lights, the untouched landscapes, and the feeling of being truly connected to the earth in a way modern society has forgotten. Number 8. Crab fishermen in the Bering Sea. If you've ever watched TV shows about crab fishing, you have a vague idea of just how insane this job is. But let me give you the real perspective. This is regarded as one of the most dangerous jobs in the world, not just in the United States but globally. And how much do these fishermen earn? During the fishing season, which lasts about 3 to 5 months, an experienced fisherman can make between $20,000 to $50,000, and the most successful can earn $80,000 or more in a single season. That's right, all that money in just a few months of work. Yet, let's talk about the price they pay for that paycheck. The Bering Sea, situated between Alaska and Russia, is notorious for having some of the planet's most brutal ocean conditions. Waves reaching 15 to 20 meters high are common, Storms with winds exceeding 100 kilometers per hour come out of nowhere. And the water temperature is so low that if you fall into the ocean, you have mere minutes before succumbing to hypothermia. These fishermen work 20-hour shifts, with only a few hours of rest, for days on end. They haul in crab traps weighing 300 to 400 kilograms, navigate slippery decks covered in ice, all while the boat is being violently tossed about by the waves. And the dangers? Where do I even start? You could be struck by a swinging trap, slip and fall into the frigid sea, get crushed by equipment, or the boat itself could sink during a storm. It's no exaggeration to say that these fishermen risk their lives literally every minute of every shift. But here's something intriguing. Many of these fishermen are addicted to the adrenaline. They try other jobs, normal careers, but always find their way back to the sea. Because despite all the danger, there's something about facing the ocean, working as a team under extreme conditions, about earning your money in such a visceral and real way, that becomes part of who they are. The sense of community is profound. These fishermen forge bonds that extend beyond ordinary friendship. When you entrust your life to your crewmates every day, facing storms together that could claim all of you, you develop connections that last a lifetime. Number 7. Scientific station worker in Antarctica. Now, we shift to the extreme opposite on the temperature spectrum. Antarctica, the coldest, driest, windiest, and most isolated place on Earth. Yes, people live and work there, in conditions that challenge the imagination. American scientific station workers in Antarctica can earn between $45,000 and $85,000 annually, depending on their role and expertise, with some specialized technical positions fetching up to $100,000 or more. However, the salary is just the beginning of the perks. Since you're working in one of the most remote locations on the planet, all your expenses are covered: housing, food, transportation, everything. And with literally nothing to buy in Antarctica, you save nearly all your earnings. Now let's discuss the conditions. During the Antarctic winter, temperatures can plummet to minus 80 degrees Celsius. That's right, minus 80. At that temperature, your breath freezes instantly, tears solidify before they fall, and exposing your skin for more than a few seconds can lead to severe frostbite. During winter, you are completely cut off. No flights in or out. There are no fresh supplies. No medical evacuation options. If something goes wrong, you and your team must rely solely on the resources available at the station. Imagine going months without seeing the sun. In the Antarctic winter, there are stretches where the sun simply doesn't rise. Total darkness for weeks. This has a profound psychological impact that many people struggle to cope with. But here's the intriguing part. Those who work in Antarctica often describe the experience as transformative. You're essentially living in another world, a frozen, snowy alien planet. You belong to a small community of scientists, technicians, and support staffs, all united by this unique experience. And the science being conducted there is absolutely vital for understanding our planet. Research on climate change, glaciology, astronomy, and biology in extreme conditions. These workers contribute to knowledge that benefits all of humanity. Moreover, there's something deeply human about working in such a hostile environment. You learn about cooperation, resilience, and what truly matters when all the distractions of modern life are stripped away. Many say they return changed with a completely new perspective on life. Number 6. Wildfire equipment operator. Wildfires in the United States have grown increasingly intense and destructive. On the front lines of this battle against the flames are specialized heavy equipment operators who can earn between $40,000 and $70,000 during the fire season, with experienced operators making up to $90,000 or more. But this isn't a cushy office job. These professionals operate bulldozers, excavators, and other heavy machinery under extreme conditions, creating containment lines to stop the flames from spreading. They work on steep, mountainous terrain, amid toxic smoke, with temperatures soaring above 50 degrees Celsius due to the heat from nearby fires. And the risks? They are real and immediate. Wildfires are unpredictable. The wind can shift direction in seconds, turning a safe escape route into a deadly trap. Flames can move faster than a speeding car, and you're operating heavy machinery on unstable ground, often with nearly zero visibility due to smoke. These operators work 12 to 16-hour shifts, sometimes for consecutive weeks during peak season. They sleep in basic camps, eat quick-prepared meals, and are constantly exposed to smoke, heat, and extreme physical exhaustion. But ask any of these professionals why they do this, and you'll hear stories about saving communities, protecting ancient forests, and the satisfaction of doing something that genuinely matters. They witness the direct impact of their work. When they manage to divert a fire from a small town, when they save critical wildlife areas, they know they've made a difference. These experiences create highly skilled professionals. They develop decision-making abilities under pressure that are valuable in any context. They learn to work as a team exceptionally well because mistakes can cost lives. And they build a physical and mental resilience that few possess. Number 5. Wind turbine maintenance technician. In remote locations, the wind turbines you see from a distance, those giant white structures spinning gracefully, they can be over 100 meters tall. And someone has to climb up there for regular maintenance. That someone can earn between $50,000 to $80,000 a year, with experienced technicians reaching $100,000 or more. Many of the most productive wind farms are located in some of the most remote and windy areas of the United States. We're talking about the isolated plains of Texas, the mountains of Wyoming, the deserts of New Mexico, and coastal regions of Oregon and Washington with constant strong winds. Now imagine climbing 100 meters or more, up tight internal vertical ladders, carrying tools and equipment. You reach the top where you need to work in confined spaces, often with the turbine swaying due to the wind. And keep in mind, these turbines are intentionally placed in the windiest spots possible. The risks include falls from extreme heights, electrocution while working with high-voltage systems, exposure to severe weather conditions, and accidents with the moving parts of the turbines. And since many of these installations are extremely remote, medical help can be hours away. But here's the upside. You're working with clean energy technology, directly contributing to a more sustainable future. And unlike many professions, you can clearly see the results of your work. When those turbines are spinning perfectly, generating power for thousands of homes, you know your efforts made that possible. And let's take a quick pause here. Tell me in the comments, which of these jobs surprised you the most? Which one do you think you could do? And which one would you completely dismiss? Write it down because I read all the comments and love hearing your opinions. And while you're writing, don't forget to give a thumbs up to the video. It really helps the channel grow. Number 4. Equipment operator in icy fields of Alaska. Alaska seems to dominate this list, doesn't it? And for good reason. It's one of the last truly wild frontiers in the United States, full of opportunities for those brave enough. Heavy equipment operators in icy fields can earn between $60,000 to $120,000 a year, with specialists in certain machines and operations reaching even higher figures. These professionals operate machinery such as excavators, massive trucks, drills, and other equipment on glaciers and ice fields. They engage in construction projects in extremely remote areas, ice mining, and exploration operations in glacial environments. The conditions are harsh. Temperatures plummet to levels that render metals brittle. The ground is unstable, where glacial cracks can open unexpectedly. Snowstorms can reduce visibility to nothing in mere seconds. And the complete isolation from any form of civilization adds to the challenge. Yet, the technical hurdles are vast and captivating. Operating heavy equipment on ice demands specialized skills. One must comprehend how the cold impacts mechanics, how ice behaves under weight and pressure, and how to adapt techniques to ever-changing conditions. There's a pioneering spirit in this work. You're literally exploring some of the last uncharted areas of American territory. You witness landscapes that few people in the world will ever see. You confront challenges that push the limits of engineering and human capability. Many of these operators speak of the profound silence in glacial regions. In an age filled with constant noise and digital distractions, there's something transformative about being in a place where the only sounds are the wind and the creaking ice, where the stars shine like never before, and the northern lights dance across the sky with an intensity that photos cannot capture. Number 3. Flight paramedic in remote regions. Now, let's discuss true heroes. Flight paramedics serving remote communities in the United States can earn between $65,000 to $95,000 annually, with experienced paramedics in specialized operations reaching $110,000 or more. These professionals respond to medical emergencies in some of the most isolated and hard-to-reach areas of the country. Steep mountains, dense forests, Arctic tundra, remote deserts. Places where a ground ambulance would take hours to arrive, if it could even get there. And they fly in conditions that commercial pilots would never deem safe. Storms, thick fog, strong winds. Because when a life is at stake, waiting isn't an option. They land helicopters on mountain slopes, narrow roads, and tiny clearings in the woods. The risks are extraordinary. Helicopter accidents in emergency medical services occur, often with fatal outcomes. Additionally, they handle critical medical emergencies in uncontrolled environments, lacking the full equipment of a hospital, relying only on what they can carry. Imagine stabilizing a patient with severe trauma in a remote cabin miles away from any hospital, with limited resources, while a snowstorm rages outside, or performing CPR inside a moving helicopter, contending with turbulence, or treating severe burns on a forestry worker hours away from the nearest medical facility. But here's what makes these professionals exceptional. They save lives in a direct and immediate way that few professions allow. They are literally the difference between life and death for individuals in remote communities. And they do this every day without fanfare, without public recognition, simply because it is their job. The stories these paramedics gather are extraordinary. They encounter people in their most vulnerable moments, in extreme situations, forging deep human connections. They witness the resilience and courage of ordinary individuals facing extraordinary circumstances. Number 2. Drilling equipment operator in remote deserts. The second place goes to drilling equipment operators who work on exploration and extraction projects in remote deserts across the United States. These professionals can earn between $70,000 and $130,000 annually, with supervisors and specialists making up to $160,000 or more. We're mainly referring to operations in the deserts of New Mexico, Nevada, Arizona, and remote parts of Texas. Areas where temperatures can exceed 45 degrees Celsius during the day and plummet at night, where water is scarce and precious, where sandstorms can arise suddenly, reducing visibility to zero and making it impossible to breathe without protection. These operators are involved in mining projects, drilling wells, geological exploration, and extraction of natural resources. They operate colossal machinery that drills hundreds of meters into the ground, work with explosives, and handle potentially hazardous substances. Isolation is extreme. Many of these operations are hours away from the nearest town. Workers live in temporary camps, in trailers or basic cabins, for weeks or months at a stretch. There's no entertainment, no restaurants, nothing but work, colleagues, and the endless desert surrounding them. Hazards include equipment failures that can lead to serious accidents, exposure to extreme heat causing heat stroke and dehydration, accidents involving explosives, and the ever-present possibility of encountering dangerous wildlife like rattlesnakes and scorpions. But here's something fascinating. Many of these operators develop a deep love for the desert. Despite its harshness, there's a raw, honest beauty in these places. The night sky is spectacular, with the Milky Way clearly visible. The silence is profound and meditative. And there's something about working in such a barren environment that forces you to focus on the essentials. And now we're reaching the halfway point of the video. And if you haven't subscribed to the Salary Uncovered channel yet, now is the perfect time, because the content only gets better from here. Hit that subscribe button, activate the notification bell, and make sure you don't miss any videos about salaries, careers, and unique opportunities like these. Do it now, it takes 2 seconds, and let's continue. Number 1. Construction worker on remote military bases, and here we are at number 1. The highest paying job in extreme, dangerous, and remote locations in the United States. Specialized construction workers on military bases and defense facilities in isolated areas. These professionals can earn between $80,000 and $150,000 annually, with specialists in specific technical fields and supervisors making from $180,000 to over $200,000 a year. We're talking about building and maintaining facilities in some of the most isolated places you can imagine. Bases in the Arctic regions of Alaska, installations in remote deserts, radar stations atop inaccessible mountains, and underground complexes in confidential locations. Conditions vary from extremely cold to extremely hot, from high altitudes with thin air to claustrophobic underground environments. And due to the sensitive nature of these projects, workers often can't even discuss where they are or what they are building. Shifts are long and intense. Many projects operate on accelerated schedules with critical deadlines for national security. This means working 12, 14, sometimes 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, for months on end. There are no weekends, no days off until the project is completed or your work shift is over. Isolation is arguably the most extreme among all the professions we've discussed. You are, quite literally, cut off from the rest of the world. No unrestricted access to phone or internet for security reasons. Living in basic facilities alongside dozens or even hundreds of fellow workers. Your only companions are your colleagues, day after day, week after week. Yet, what makes this job truly distinctive is that you are directly contributing to national security. The facilities you build serve critical purposes for the defense of the United States. And while you cannot speak about it publicly, there's a profound pride in knowing your work is fundamentally important. Moreover, the quality standards are absolutely stringent. Mistakes are not an option. Every weld must be flawless. Every foundation needs to be precise. Each system has to operate perfectly, because lives may depend on it, and the country's safety could hinge on it. And those who perform this work, they develop exceptional skills. They learn to thrive under immense pressure, maintain high standards even when exhausted, and solve complex problems with limited resources. These are skills that translate into every aspect of life. Many of these workers do this for years, accumulating considerable salaries since their expenses are virtually zero while on site. They return home after months of work with substantial savings, able to buy homes, invest, or simply enjoy the financial freedom that most people can only dream of. Bonus: park rangers in remote national parks. Before we conclude, I want to briefly mention a bonus. Park rangers working in remote national parks. While the salaries are more modest, ranging from $35,000 to $60,000 a year, the lifestyle is unique. These rangers live in isolated cabins in some of the most beautiful places in America. They spend weeks alone or with a small team, patrolling vast wilderness areas, monitoring wildlife, fighting fires when necessary, and rescuing lost or injured hikers. The isolation can be extreme. Some posts are days of hiking away from the nearest civilization. During winter, they can be completely cut off for months. But for those who love nature and value solitude and self-sufficiency, it's a dream come true. Final reflection. So, looking at all these jobs, what's the big lesson? Is that money never comes without sacrifice. Every dollar earned represents some form of trade-offs, whether it's time, comfort, safety, or convenience. The professionals we've discussed today have chosen to exchange comfort and security for higher wages and unique experiences. They've accepted living under conditions that most of us would find unbearable. In return, they gain not just money, but also stories, experiences, and a perspective on life that few possess. There is real value in recognizing that such opportunities exist. For some, the thought of working in an office for 40 years is more terrifying than any oil platform or underground mine. For these individuals, these jobs symbolize freedom, adventure, and the chance to live authentically. However, it's also important to acknowledge that there's no shame in preferring stability and comfort. Not everyone needs to scale communication towers or work in remote deserts to have worth. Society requires all types of professionals, from those risking their lives in extreme environments to those quietly working in offices to keep the world running. The key is to make conscious choices. Recognize that you are always exchanging one thing for another. The more you understand the available options, the better you can select a path that resonates with you. At the end of the day, the best job isn't necessarily the one that pays the highest salary. It's the one that aligns with your values, priorities, and vision of a well-lived life. For some, This means earning $200,000 a year on an oil platform in Alaska. For others, it signifies making half that amount in a comfortable office close to home and family. Perhaps the greatest value of this video isn't to persuade you to pursue one of those extreme jobs. Rather, it's to broaden your perspective on what is possible. It illustrates that there are alternative paths, unconventional opportunities, and that the world is far larger and more diverse than most of us perceive in our daily lives. Practical considerations: if any of these jobs truly pique your interest, here are some practical points to consider. First, almost all of these positions require specific training and certifications. You can't just show up and get hired. It demands an investment of time and sometimes money in education and qualifications. Second, many people start in entry-level positions with lower salaries and progress as they gain experience. The higher figures I mentioned typically apply to professionals with years of experience and specialized expertise. Third, the impact on personal life is significant. Relationships suffer when you're away from home for months. Families have to adapt. This isn't a decision to be made lightly. But fourth, and perhaps most importantly, these experiences transform you. Individuals working in these extreme environments often speak about how it changes their perspective on resilience, on what truly matters, and on what you can achieve when genuinely tested. The human factor: what fascinates me most about researching these jobs isn't the salaries or the risks involved. It's the human resilience they embody. Even in the most extreme, isolated, and dangerous conditions, there are individuals willing to go out there and do the work. These individuals aren't superheroes. They are ordinary people who have made extraordinary choices. They experience fears, doubts, and moments of weakness. Yet they choose to confront those challenges regardless. There's something profoundly inspiring about that. In an era where much of our work has become abstract and digital, where we can spend entire days without touching something physical or seeing tangible results from our efforts, these jobs represent something fundamentally human. Real physical effort, real risk, real reward. And perhaps that's what draws certain individuals to these professions. It's not just about the money. It's about the feeling of being truly alive, of testing your limits, of knowing exactly where you are and what you're doing in a world that often seems confusing and directionless. Looking ahead, an intriguing question is, will these jobs continue to exist? With automation, robotics, and artificial intelligence advancing rapidly, will we need humans in these extreme positions in the future? The honest answer is, some yes, others maybe not. There are already experiments with drones and robots for inspecting communication towers. Oil platforms are becoming increasingly automated. Autonomous mining equipment is being developed. But the reality is that, for now and likely for decades to come, humans will still be needed. Because there are types of problems and situations that require human judgment, adaptability, and the ability to make decisions in complex and unpredictable environments that machines still cannot replicate. And even if automation eventually eliminates some of these jobs, extreme new opportunities are likely to arise. Asteroid mining, construction en masse. Who knows? The human spirit of exploration and the willingness of some to venture into dangerous places seeking opportunity will probably continue, just in new forms. The choice is yours. So, we've reached the end of this journey through the most extreme and well-paying jobs in dangerous and remote locations in the United States. And now the question remains, what about you? What will you do with this information? Perhaps you'll discover an adventurous spirit you didn't know you had. Maybe you'll start researching how to qualify for one of these professions. Or perhaps you'll simply gain a new appreciation for the normal job you have, realizing that comfort and stability hold their own value. Whatever your reaction may be, I hope this video has broadened your horizons, that it has revealed possibilities you hadn't considered, and that it has given you insight into the incredible diversity of paths one can take in life. Because in the end, we're all just trying to find our place in this world, trying to figure out how to use our talents, meet our needs, and live in a way that makes sense to us. And the more options we know about, the better equipped we are to make that choice. And hey, before you go, I need to ask you one more thing. If this video added value to you, if you learned something new, if it made you think differently about work and possibilities, help me out here. Give that like a solid tap, Subscribe to the Salary Uncovered channel if you haven't already. Hit the bell so you don't miss future videos. And share this content with someone you think needs to see it. And in the comments, I want to know, which of these jobs surprised you the most? Would you consider working in any of them? Or do you have experience in one of these areas and want to share your story? Write down below, because I read everything and love this exchange with you. Remember that there's a new video every week here on the channel, always bringing information about salaries, careers, and opportunities you won't find anywhere else. So stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, and until next time.